Imagine waking up to a perfect sunlit morning, the kind that fills you with excitement for a day of adventure. You gather your family or friends, pack a picnic, and set out to visit your favorite historic site, a place that holds memories, stories, and the beauty of nature all in one. The anticipation builds as you approach the familiar entrance, ready to explore trails, learn about the past, and connect with the land that belongs to all of us. But instead of the welcoming sight you expect, you're greeted by a jarring "for sale" sign. A real estate agent stands nearby, enthusiastically pitching the idea of luxury condos or private developments where your favorite park once stood. The laughter of children and the quiet awe of visitors are replaced by the hum of construction and the promise of exclusivity. This unsettling vision wasn't just a far-fetched nightmare. During the Trump administration, a real proposal surfaced to transfer national park sites, places that have been protected for generations, to state or tribal governments. The idea was to reduce federal spending, but it risked opening the door to privatization, development, and the loss of public access. The plan targeted sites considered less glamorous, suggesting that only the most famous parks deserved protection. But this approach ignored the deep value of every park, large or small. It sparked protests, heated debates in state legislatures, and a wave of concern from citizens who understood that our shared heritage is not something to be sold off for short-term savings. Our national parks are more than just scenic landscapes or tourist attractions. They are living museums, classrooms without walls, and sanctuaries for wildlife and people alike. They connect generations, inspire curiosity, and remind us of the stories that shaped our nation. These parks are our national heirlooms, preserving history and nature for all Americans, regardless of background or income. The proposal to offload parks was riddled with problems. It underestimated the challenges of funding, maintaining, and protecting these sites at the state level. It misunderstood the true value of our national parks, not just in dollars, but in the sense of unity, pride, and stewardship they foster. At its core, this debate wasn't just about budgets or bureaucracy. It was about our national identity, about what it means to be American, and what we choose to protect for future generations. Our parks are symbols of our collective commitment to preserving the best of our land and our history. The proposal served as a wake-up call, reminding us that these places are not guaranteed. They require our vigilance, our voices, and our care. Protecting our parks means protecting what truly matters: our heritage, our environment, and our shared future. The proposal to transfer management of national parks from federal hands to state control was presented as a bold move to empower local authorities and give communities a greater say in the future of their treasured lands. Supporters argued that state and local governments, being closer to the people, would be more responsive to the unique needs of each park and its visitors. The idea was sold as a way to cut through federal bureaucracy and put decision-making power back into the hands of those who know the land best. But there was a catch. This transfer came with no federal funding attached. States would suddenly be responsible for the full cost of maintaining, staffing, and protecting these vast and often expensive public lands without any additional resources from Washington. For many state officials, already struggling with tight budgets and competing priorities, the prospect was daunting. The reality was that states would have to shoulder millions, sometimes even billions in annual costs. This included everything from basic maintenance and infrastructure repairs to fire management and wildlife protection. For most states, the numbers simply didn't add up, making the offer less of a gift and more of a burden, one that was almost certain to be declined. This proposal was part of a much broader push to reduce federal land ownership across the country. It fit neatly into a worldview that prioritized economic development, resource extraction, and local control over long-term preservation and public access. Critics warned that such a shift could open the door to privatization, commercial development, or even the loss of public lands altogether. To avoid a major backlash, the administration initially targeted smaller, lesser-known sites, places that didn't attract the same crowds or media attention as the iconic national parks. The hope was that these changes would fly under the radar, quietly setting a precedent for larger transfers in the future. But even in these quieter corners of the park system, local communities, activists, and park lovers quickly organized. Town hall meetings grew heated, protests sprang up, and journalists began to ask tough questions. Many people saw through the strategy and recognized the long-term risks. In the end, the plan was revealed as a political maneuver that underestimated just how deeply Americans value their national parks. The public's attachment to these places runs deep, and any attempt to undermine their protection is likely to meet with passionate resistance. When most people think of national parks, they picture the grandeur of Yellowstone, the geysers, the bison, and the endless crowds flocking to America's most iconic natural wonders. But the plan in question didn't set its sights on these world-famous destinations. Instead, it targeted the quieter corners of the park system, those smaller, often overlooked sites that quietly preserve the more personal, intimate stories of America's past. These are the places where history feels close enough to touch, where the crowds are thin, but the stories are rich. Sites like the Andrew Johnson National Historic Site, tucked away in Tennessee, or the windswept Fort Davis in Texas, were among those at risk. These landmarks may not draw millions of visitors, but they safeguard crucial chapters of our shared heritage, presidents' homes, frontier forts, and the everyday places where American history unfolded. The government never released a full list of which parks might be closed or cut, leaving communities and park lovers in a state of anxious uncertainty. Rumors swirled, and the fear of losing beloved local sites grew. According to the National Parks Conservation Association, the proposed budget cuts were so severe that achieving the savings goal could have meant shuttering up to 75% of the entire park system. That's not just a few parks, it's hundreds of places, each with its own story to tell. These smaller parks, though they may not be household names, are vital threads in the fabric of our national memory. They offer quiet places for reflection, learning, and connection to the past. Within their boundaries, you'll find the stories of presidents who shaped the nation, pioneers who braved the unknown, and civil rights leaders who fought for justice. These sites honor the struggles and triumphs that define who we are. To suggest that these places are expendable is to misunderstand their true value. Communities rallied, historians spoke out, and citizens across the country raised their voices in defense of these irreplaceable treasures. In the end, these lesser-known parks are the unsung heroes of the National Park Service, quietly preserving the stories that make America unique and ensuring that even the smallest chapters of our history are never forgotten. States swiftly rejected the offer to take over parks, recognizing it as a financial burden. Running a park is costly, with maintenance backlogs and staffing needs. States would inherit these costs without federal support, making it an unattractive proposition. Legal and logistical challenges added to the rejection. Accepting parks would mean raising taxes or letting them decay, neither popular with voters. The plan was a political loser, and state officials saw it coming. The rejection was a rare moment of bipartisan agreement. The proposal faced widespread criticism, seen as an attack on America's heritage. Critics warned of neglect, with sites crumbling without proper funding. The fear was that states would sell parks to private interests if they couldn't maintain them. This was seen as a slow privatization plan, valuing dollars over history. Parks bring economic value to local communities, generating billions in activity. The plan was un-American, betraying the idea of parks for all people. The public rallied against the proposal, defending their shared heritage. State rejections and public opposition created a political firestorm. Republican lawmakers, usually against federal overreach, opposed the plan. Congress holds the power to remove park sites, making the plan difficult to execute. Public outcry was crucial, with people uniting to protect their parks. The narrative of selling off history resonated, creating a grassroots victory. The plan fizzled out, but the debate about public lands continues. It was a reminder of the power of public pressure in defending shared heritage. The park giveaway saga highlights the tension between budget cuts and preserving heritage. Parks are more than budget items. They embody our national story. The plan failed because it underestimated the public's love for their parks. Parks are a public trust, not for sale, to be protected for future generations. Vigilance is crucial as threats to public lands persist. The idea of transferring parks often hides neglect or exploitation. Our parks belong to the American people, a treasure to be cherished.